story begins, and we are shown a killer who is sitting outside a restaurant late at night, eating noodles. The shop owner tells him to finish quickly because it is time to close the shop, but the man does not get up from the table and keeps eating. He takes out money from his pocket, places it on the table, and threatens the restaurant owner, saying that if he pulls down the shutter, it will not end well for him. After that, the restaurant owner quietly goes inside. Soon, the entire street becomes deserted. It is revealed that this man is a very dangerous contract killer who has come here to kill a gangster named Lee. Meanwhile, we see a girl who is pickpocketing people walking on the street. She does it so skillfully that no one notices. But then, by mistake, she pickpockets the man sitting outside the restaurant. However, this time she does not get a wallet. Instead, she ends up stealing the killer's gun. By the time she realizes her mistake, the men surround her from all sides. They cannot leave any witnesses, so they decide to kill her. But suddenly, someone shoots their sniper and throws him down. After that, they leave the girl and start searching for that person. The killer knows that the man he has come to kill is extremely dangerous. He never attacks from the front, and his assumption turns out to be correct. The person who falls from above is not their sniper, but the same gangster they were looking. Seizing the opportunity, he attacks and kills many of them. Meanwhile, the pickpocket girl hides inside a shop to save her life. The goons enter the shop searching for her and begin checking every corner. Suddenly, the lights go out, and taking advantage of the darkness, Lee kills all of them. Seeing such brutal death, the girl becomes so terrified that her hands and legs start trembling. Lee hangs one man on the spot, but he cuts the rope and comes back to fight again. Lee tells him to reveal the name of the person who sent him, promising to spare his life, but he refuses, so Lee kills him as well. Meanwhile, one man manages to escape. Lee chases him, drags him back into the shop, and continues the fight. The girl tries to escape, but finds the gangster standing at the gate, covered in blood. She thinks he will kill her too, but he spares her life. As she is about to leave, another man grabs her, but before he can harm her, Lee shoots him. However, in the process, Lee himself gets badly injured. His chances of survival are very low because one of the goons attacked him with a nail gun, and a nail gets lodged in his brain. Removing it could kill him. The girl could have run away, but she chooses to help him instead. Several years pass, and after 3 years, we see that the gangster is still alive. Due to the attack that night, he has lost his memory permanently and remembers nothing about his past. Now he runs a small shop and lives with his daughter, Yu. Everything is going well, but one day some goons enter the shops and start vandalizing them. They want everyone to sign a document so they can demolish the shops and build a shopping complex in their place. One man enters Lee's shop and mocks him, asking if he can fix a watch. Lee agrees and asks which watch. The man then gives him a time bomb and says that if he cannot fix it within 10 minutes, he will destroy the shop and force him to leave. Meanwhile, at an orphanage, we see the gang leader Yunnan, who is forcing a girl to sign the papers. He says that the previous owner has run away and now she is in charge. When she refuses, he threatens to harm the children, forcing her to sign. At the same time, his men are harassing other shopkeepers, shaving a salon owner's head and brutally beating another to intimidate them into signing. But these shops are their only source of income, so no one agrees to sign, even if it costs them their life. Then Yu tells everyone that Uncle Lee has said they should sign the papers. Hearing this, everyone signs because no one disobeys Lee. Yunnan's right-hand man informs him that everyone has signed except Lee. Yunnan then goes to Lee's shop and sees that he is actually fixing the watch. Lee comes outside with the bomb, places it in Yunnan's hand, and turns the dial. At first, Yunnan thinks it is a joke, but when the timer starts, he becomes terrified. He tries to throw it away, but Lee holds his hand tightly. Before it can explode, Yunnan manages to throw it away with all his strength. However, the bomb does not explode because Lee had already removed the explosive. He warns Yunnan to stop his madness, but Yunnan does not listen and orders a bulldozer to destroy Lee's shop. Seeing this, the people gather courage and fight back against Yunnan's men. A fierce fight breaks out. During the chaos, one goon tries to harm Yu, but Lee saves her just in time. After that, Lee goes inside his shop, grabs a gun, and points it directly at Yunnan's head, warning him to stop. Yunnan thinks the gun is fake like the bomb and does not take it seriously, but the gun is real, and when Lee pulls the trigger, the bullet fires, narrowly missing Yunnan. Even Lee is shocked because the gun had been lying there unused for years. He cannot understand how it had bullets. After this, Yunnan and his men get scared and run away. Shortly after, a police officer arrives and takes Lee to the station for questions. Since he knows Lee, he does not file a case against him. They also find 6 passports in Lee's house, which he has no knowledge about. Simon helps him and advises him to say that he fired the gun just to scare the goon. He closes the case. Lee is surprised by his kindness, but later learns that Simon likes the girl from the orphanage and wanted to know if she had a boyfriend. Later, Simon goes to question the girl. He enters her room without knocking and sees Kim bathing, then immediately leaves. Yu sees him and blackmails him into putting money into a donation box, threatening to expose him. Simon tries to explain, but Yu is clever and takes all his money. Simon likes Kim because she is kind-hearted, but he knows nothing about her past. In reality, Kim is the same pickpocket girl whose life Lee saved 3 years ago. Since then, she has been living under a new identity. Meanwhile, Lee visits his old friend Hung, troubled by recent events. He asks what happened 3 years ago, but Hung knows that if he tells the truth, Lee will not believe him. So he tries to trigger his memory instead. He gives him a bowl of noodles, puts a raincoat over his head, and pours water on him. Lee thinks he has gone mad, but Hung tells him to keep eating. As Lee follows his instruction, he begins to see flashes of his past. The face of the killer who tried to kill him that night appears in the mirror. Suddenly, Hung pulls out a gun and tries to shoot him, but Lee stops him. However, it turns out to be just an illusion. Hung says that Lee is still skilled with guns. Lee thinks it was just a joke and leaves, but for the first time in years, he has seen glimpses of his past. His mind has started breaking the barrier between reality and illusion. Meanwhile, Simon questions Kim privately. He tells her that 3 years ago, armed men attacked Lee's shop and no one knows anything about them, but witnesses had seen her there before the incident. He asks what she was doing there. Kim realizes that if he continues investigating, he will eventually discover the truth. So she decides to handle the situation differently. She moves closer to him and asks whether he is trying to get close to her or trap her. She tells him that she can do anything for Uncle Lee. He should just stop bothering him. As she gets very close to him, Simon finally agrees and says that he will clear Lee's name. Simon was a kind-hearted man. He says that he does not want Uncle Lee to be the reason if something happens between him and Kim. He quietly leaves from there. But by then, Kim had cleverly taken all the evidence related to Uncle Lee from his pocket. She notices that all the passports are not the same. Now Simon would never suspect Uncle Lee. After that, she asks Yu to return those passports back to him. Yu comes to Uncle Lee and sees that he is badly injured. She bandages him and tells him never to fight anyone again. But then her eyes fall on the passport. She notices that Lee's eyes match the photos of all the people in those passports. She says, "Uncle, all of these are yours. I came to return them." But Lee says, "No, how can these be mine? Look, they are all different people." However, Yu covers their faces and tells Lee to focus only on their eyes. When Lee looks closely, he realizes that all their eyes match his. Before he can understand anything further, Kim snatches all the passports from him and tells him not to pay attention to such nonsense. She says it does not matter how he was in the past or how he will be in the future. What matters is how he is now. She tells him that he is a savior for all of them and should never forget that. After this, Yu returns all the passports to the police. Meanwhile, when Lee leaves his shop to go to the market, Yunnan and his goons surround him. Together, they beat him brutally, and the entire incident gets recorded on CCTV camera. When Simon sees the surveillance footage, he rushes to save Lee, but by then, it is too late. The goons have already left him in a half-dead condition. He is immediately taken to the hospital, but his condition is very critical. After this, we are shown the man who had given the contract to kill Lee 3 years ago. He believed Lee was dead, but when he sees him on the news, he cannot believe that he is still alive. His men say that he is just an old man who was beaten by some goon, but only Wong knows how dangerous he really is. After that, they hack the police surveillance cameras and watch the CCTV footage from the previous night. In the video, it looks like Lee is being beaten, but Wong explains that he is not an ordinary man. It only appears that he is being beaten, but in reality, he is breaking their faces with his strong head and shattering their noses by striking with his elbows. Every move he makes is precise and hidden. It was not Lee who got beaten. The goons actually suffered more damage. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the doctor tells Simon that there is a nail lodged in Lee's brain, specifically in the part that stores memories. This is likely the reason why he remembers nothing about his past life. Simon then goes to question him, but Lee is not in his room. At the same time, we see Yunnan, who after sending Lee to the hospital, also destroys his shop. But as soon as they bring down the roof, many decomposed bodies fall from above. These are the same people who came to kill Lee 3 years ago. He had killed them and sealed them inside the wall. Seeing the bodies, Yunnan and his men are terrified. One of them begs, saying, "Uncle Lee, I will rebuild your house. Please don't harm me." Lee wants to inform the police about this. He says he will bring the officers and ask them to keep an eye on the bodies. But shortly after he leaves, Wong's men arrive and kill Yunnan's men, making all the bodies disappear. Yunnan secretly watches all of this, but he is too scared to do anything. Soon Lee returns with the police, but by then, all evidence of the bodies has been erased. The police question Yunnan, but he denies everything. The officers begin to suspect that Lee is trying to mislead them, and no one believes him. To find the truth, Simon decides to check the CCTV footage and discovers that all the cameras went offline at the time of the incident. But then Lee notices a car that moved from one place to another during that time. He quickly quickly asks to track it and finds that it is currently parked outside a spa. They rush there and see a group of people disposing of the body. Simon wants to arrest them on the spot, but Lee warns him that they are very dangerous. However, Simon does not listen and enters with a gun. Wong becomes aware of his presence and sends his men to distract him. They tell him the spa is closed, but Simon says he is tired and will leave soon. He changes clothes, wraps a towel around himself, and goes inside. He finds no bodies, but then notices blood on the floor and realizes they have already disposed of them. He looks at Wong and says he does not seem like he belongs here. Wong does not like his interference and warns him that many police officers die every year because they interfere in matters that are not theirs. Simon understands that he is being threatened, but is not afraid. He accuses Wong of destroying a crime scene, disposing of bodies, and now threatening a police officer. As Simon reaches for his gun, he realizes it is gone. A woman grabs him and tries to drown him. At that moment, he sees that the bodies are hidden underwater. Before they can kill him, Lee arrives and tells them to let him go. But Wong, who was waiting for him, opens fire. Lee somehow dodges the bullets, grabs one of his men, and beats him badly. Soon the police arrive, but before they can catch him, Wong escapes. The police assume that Lee tried to kill Simon and arrest him. Although Simon survives, he struggles to prove Lee's innocent. A senior officer tells Lee that all the evidence is against him. The bodies found in his shop were severely injured, and autopsy reports show they were all killed with the same gun. Hearing these serious accusations, Lee panics and says he did not commit the murder. But the officer refuses to believe him and says he has seen many criminals pretending to be insane. Simon also insists that Lee is innocent, but the officer reveals that Lee is the prime suspect. A full body examination shows that besides the nail in his head, his body has 21 other injury marks, 4 stab wounds, 13 bullet wounds, 3 blast injuries, and several others that could have been fatal. He also shows files of mass murders from the past 20 years, all of which follow a similar pattern matching the 6 murders. He asks Simon if he still thinks Lee is just an ordinary old man. The man in front of them could actually be a highly trained serial killer. After hearing all this, Simon is left speechless and can no longer defend Lee. While Lee is sitting in his cell, Wong comes to meet him again, this time pretending to be his lawyer. Lee asks who he is and why he tried to kill him. Wong replies that if he has truly forgotten, then he will remind him of what he has done. We come to know that 3 years ago, Wong was Lee's student, and both of them worked for a very big mafia. But one day, Lee betrayed them and killed his boss, along with his entire family. Lee later realized that his hands were stained with innocent children's blood, and there was a pen drive that contained evidence against him. Lee says, "No, I cannot do this." But Wong replies, "This is the truth. You are a killer. I am giving you one more chance. Give me the pen drive you have hidden. Otherwise, my men will kill your daughter and the orphanage children, and you will be responsible for their deaths." Lee angrily attacks him, but then the police catch him and put him in a lockup. While leaving, Wong notices Yunnan. He realizes that Yunnan has seen them, so he must be killed. After that, he lights a cigarette and places it with a lighter into a power supply and leaves. Meanwhile, Lee is trying to recall his past, but he cannot remember anything. He does not understand what to do. Then he asks Yunnan to kill him. When Yunnan refuses, he starts attacking the other prisoners. The prisoners then all beat him together. While getting beaten, the nail stuck in Lee's brain moves from its place, and suddenly he remembers everything. Before they could kill him, officers take him out of the cell. He urgently needs medical help. But then, due to the cigarette left by Wong, a short circuit occurs and the lights go out. Lee, who was pretending to be unconscious, suddenly stands up and puts a gun on Simon's head, coming out of the police station. He warns that if anyone tries anything clever, he will blow Simon's head off. Meanwhile, he notices that they are being targeted by a sniper. To escape, he quickly hides behind a pillar. Suddenly, a large truck breaks through the barrier and enters. Lee realizes it is Hung. After this, he quickly escapes in a van. The police chase them, but Hung has powerful weapons. Lee learns that 3 years ago, Hung was the one who disposed of the bodies and had been waiting for Lee's memory to return. Hung tells Lee that after leaving the organization, Wong started killing old members and spread rumors that Lee killed the boss's family, making Lee a wanted criminal. But Hung believed Lee was innocent, so he faked Lee's death to protect him and waited for the truth to come out. But Lee had lost his memory. Lee says he knows who killed them and has proof, but first they need to find Wong because he has kidnapped children. Hearing this, Kim says, "Uncle Lee, you will save them, right?" But Lee replies, "I have important work. You go and save them yourself." After regaining his memory, Lee completely changes and no longer cares about anyone's life. He attaches a pressure bomb behind Simon's leg. Simon says, "Uncle, this is a fake bomb, right? You won't kill me, right?" But Lee replies, replies, "Try moving your foot and see." After this, he leaves to find Wong. Police arrive, but Simon tells them to stay away. In the end, he trusts Lee and removes his foot from the bomb. The bomb does not explode immediately, and he feels Lee still cares about him. But suddenly, a huge explosion occurs, and the truck is destroyed. Meanwhile, Wong is waiting for Lee, but he sees that police have surrounded Lee from all sides. They cannot let the pen drive fall into police hands, so he goes himself. At the same time, Lee, who has regained all his memory, takes out the pen drive and tries to leave, but Wong attacks him. In the struggle, the pen drive falls and Wong grabs it. A hacker working for Wong sends explosive drones at the police. Many officers are injured. Lee helps them and moves them to safety. Communication is jammed. The situation is difficult, but Lee uses a disco ball whose light confuses the drones and makes them crash. Meanwhile, Kim reaches the orphanage and finds Wong's men there. She steals grenades from them. Yunan also arrives, asking for help as Wong's men are after him. Kim throws grenades and escapes, but they surround her. Before anything happens, Lee arrives and fights Wong's strongest man. A woman starts firing randomly, but Lee crushes her with her bike. Wong realizes he was fooled by the fake pen drive and orders his hacker to deploy his most dangerous weapon. Police rescue the children, but the hacker's automated weapon starts firing at them and kills many officers. Hung finds the hacker and fights him. Kim helps by shocking him, and Simon throws the laptop into water, disabling the machine. The hacker tries to kill Kim, but Simon gets shot while protecting her. He jokes even while dying, then Kim shocks him and revives him. Lee defeats the hacker, but falls unconscious. When he wakes up, he sees Wong. Now Lee remembers everything. We are told that 3 years ago, Wong betrayed the organization. He sold secrets to enemies. The boss tried to kill Wong, but Lee stopped him and begged for mercy. Later, Wong killed the boss's entire family. Lee attacked Wong, but Wong stabbed his hand. Wong demanded the pen drive or he would kill you. Lee handed it over, but then handcuffed Wong. A drone missile was coming. Lee said he would die anyway due to internal bleeding and would kill Wong before dying. He tells Simon to take Yu away. Wong removes the handcuffs but is killed when the missile hits him. The real pen drive is later handed over by Lee. After that, Lee disappears. Some say he was jailed for life. Others say he died in hospital. But everyone remembers Uncle Lee's story. In the end, Yunan reforms, Simon gets promoted, and with this, the film comes to an end. If you like this story, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.